our next Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, sorry, I threw up the back of my mouth, committing to being one of the most transparent PMs there've been, whilst he's locking media out from interviewing MPs. But this is the reason I'm saying this, Chewie, is you should listen, because they start off by asking a question and the reporter says something like, that wasn't a word, it's more like a vibe. Literally, I laughed when I heard it, because the reporter is saying what you've been saying for the whole time, that National wants to work on vibes. It's how this story starts.
Vibe government.
Have a listen.
Hey guys, before I go, can I get one word to describe the election campaign?
That's not a word, folks. That's more of a vibe. And no words of substance from National to enlighten the public about government negotiations either.
Just the blow by blow, doing it through the media. And I appreciate there'll be lots of reckons, there'll be lots of people interviewing typewriters, there'll be lots of people with comment. But actually, the parties have media's role in democracy. Yeah, I do.
Usually, media are allowed to question MPs as they head to caucus meetings, like outgoing MP Ian McKelvey off to say bye-bye.
Are you going to give a wee speech today?
Very short.
What are you going to say?
Very little.
Fuck off.
His colleagues today said even less, though, because the media, the eyes of the public in Parliament, were locked out.
Do you promise to be a transparent and accountable Prime Minister for New Zealand?
I'm going to be very much so, yes.
Right. He's going to be transparent and he's going to be public. Now, of course, you're probably already thinking it, Chewie. I've already tweeted this today, so people out there will have seen me say it. How long till we get the Uffindell Report then, Mr. Transparency? Like, he said it. He's going to be transparent. He's going to be transparent. So how long before the Uffindell Report gets released? That's what I want to know. That's my only question back to someone who says they're going to be transparent. And if they don't release it, then they're not going to be transparent. It's just weasel words. Transparent like you can't see or find him, says sees the memes of Broden.
Words are important.
Yeah. Anything you want before we get to the last 60 seconds of this?
I'll save what I've got. Carry
it does
on.
Seem interesting that there was conversations on election night, and I think it was News Hub. Is that where Julian Wilcox is on News Hub? Is that where one of the Māori shows are? Yeah. One of the Māori shows, the Hui or the other one, I'm not sure which one it was, but the host that was hosting one of the nights, saying that that Luxon has that parties have refused to put up on the day after the election, some people to, shall we say, not so friendly media, and that they can't keep running as well. I should find that clip so I can play it for you guys. But yeah, he has been someone who hasn't engaged as much with the media, and I know what those on the other side are going to say. They're going to say, was it Mihinarangi, was it? Maybe it was. Thank you, James. I know what those on the other are going to say. They're going to say, well, Jacinda wouldn't speak to Mike Hosking. Well, is that Mike Hosking was the only one, and they did talk to them lots. Luxon does seem to be ducking and diving in the last few months. Now, will that change? Remember, we said this on the night as well. Will that change because he might have been ducking and diving because he didn't want to put his foot in it? But now that he's Prime Minister, he needs to front. And today, not allowing the media access, it just, without going too far and being too dramatic, it just feels a bit Trumpian. I don't know. That's just the vibe. That's my vibe. It feels a little bit Trumpian. I don't know about you, Chewie, but you're holding your tongue, aren't you? So,
I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. But I mean, again, you look at his experience. He is not a politician.
Yeah.
When you're a CEO and the media comes calling, you've got, you don't have to talk. There isn't the public expectation that a CEO needs to front the media. The media is invited in. So, yeah. I don't hold out much hope.
So someone's confirming this for it. It was Mihinarangi Forbes saying that Tama wasn't allowed to be, I think it was live interviewed or interviewed. Yeah. So they held people from them. Yeah, I don't know. It feels a bit like, even if it's uncomfortable, you've just won an election. This is time to speak to the people, not hide away in the back rooms. Not Anyway, we'll get to the end of the story.
Accountability promise, but he couldn't promise much else about the shape of the next government, besides 2 top roles.
Only 2 people that we've locked in is Prime Minister Chris Luxon and Finance Minister Nicola Willis.
Luxon appears to be keen not to take on a portfolio himself.
Here it is.
Perhaps just being the Minister of Glue.
In a coalition government, I want to make sure that I'm building those relationships, making sure that we've got strong, stable government. I think a lot of my role will actually be making sure there's good glue.
And he's going to need a lot of glue to hold together a government with ACT, who's pumped up with its new caucus members, and New Zealand First, who've kept a low profile since the election, but Newsub understands Winston Peters is due to touch down tomorrow.
Well, this is certainly not Peter's first time on Precinct. Because he's technically a newbie, he'll have to come here to the induction hall.
Can you imagine how dismissive Winston Peters is being forced into there? Could you imagine? I mean, if someone asks him a question that he thinks is stupid, he just tells them. Can you imagine Winston Peters being told by these lovely people we're seeing in the background how to book a flight? And he has to sit there and listen to it. Even that, I'd like to be a fly on that wall. That'd be hilarious.
All the freshers are welcomed and taught things like how to make laws, how to book flights, and of course, what happened to John Key's shredded phone.
But even before he's been inducted, Peters has warned...
Now think those comments that Bomber made last night about a second election. Just listen to Mr. Peters and what he has to say about this. Now, this might just all be posturing, and he's going to use this as leverage to get a better, get more baubles. But
absolutely.
But just have a listen anyway.
Economics might be stacked against election promises.
Where we have made a very big commitment to deliver tax relief for low and middle income New Zealanders, and that will happen.
Some of the promises you heard in this campaign won't be worth confetti.
Both David Seymour and Winston Peters have put questions across your tax plan. Are you worried?
But he can't walk away from negotiations.
But there you go. Yeah, and there's exactly the thing. When they question him on Winston, his first reaction is to bail.
Worth confetti.
Both David Seymour and Winston Peters have put questions across your tax plan. Are you worried?
But he can't walk away from negotiations. Amelia Wade, News.
Yeah, so there you go. So there was Winston. So yeah. I still going to come back to that thing. I don't know who said it first, Chewy. Probably you, because you're the smarts and I'm the looks of this operation. That when you're the CEO, you don't get questions and you don't get pushback. And he doesn't, in my opinion, he doesn't seem to be able to handle the gentlest of pushbacks. I mean, if it was a personality thing, you'd call it thin-skinned. But I wonder how this is going to work. I really do. I'm intrigued, actually, as horrible as this is going to be for the most vulnerable, and they're the people who this is going to impact, right? And how good this is going to be for the uber rich. Most people in the middle won't see a huge change, I wouldn't think. But, thinking about our more vulnerable people, there could be some significant changes. Headlines today about the disabled community living in fear at the moment about what's been promised before the election. Mm-hmm. I just wonder how Luxon's going to go interacting with the media, who are supposedly the voice piece to us to find out what's happening in those halls.
Yeah. No, it's very clear that when the vibes aren't good, he hits the bricks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, any sort of pushback, any sort of questioning, and he's just tired of it. I don't have an answer for this. I'm out. That is not a transparent leader, and I believe we will see more of it. We will see someone who will not stick around long for media stand-ups more than he said he would. He won't go off. He won't go off script. We won't get the answers. It won't be transparent.
Because the CEO
in this
stands
case,
up the front.
I'm cheering for Winston Peters to just fuck everybody's shit up.
The CEO stands up the front and says, "This is how it is." Nobody goes, "Yeah, that doesn't make sense." That's not something a CEO gets. He may get higher level management going, "Let's mull this over. Let's do some green light thinking or some blue sky thinking." But he doesn't get people going, "Yeah, that's bullshit. We think that's bullshit. Can you explain it again?" No, that's still bullshit. Can you explain it again? No, that's still bullshit. Now, can you answer the fucking question? That doesn't happen as a CEO. So he hasn't had that at him other than the last 12 to 18 months. So look, I'm not trying to be like a simp for the left right here, but I'm just saying I'm intrigued as to how it's going to work, if it's going to work, and how that will pan out. And also this whole thing, you've heard him say it now, Chewy, so I'd love your commentary on the idea about not having a portfolio, because that was the article I was talking about. Sounds like he just wants to be the CEO of Parliament and have his managers be the portfolio holders. That's how it kind of vibes.
Yeah, I don't think it sounds good at all. I don't know the history of it, but I think in recent history, prime ministers have had portfolios. They have had important jobs. It's not just a case of going, no, I'm just going to manage my team. That's the whip's job. There's a job for that. You shouldn't need to dedicate all of your time to keeping your team in line. That I don't think it sends the message that he thinks it sends.
Yeah.